You know, as bad as working and paying for stuff and pondering the inevitability of death as you start noticing the slow and inevitable decay of your body may be, there are certain advantages to being an adult gamer with money, or at least a decent PC with access to Steam sales and perfectly legal alternatives to acquiring video games. That being the fact that you easily have access to a lot more games than you likely had as a kid. Not to say that's better than actually feeling joy in life, but it sure beats feeling like a walking corpse and being forced to play the same shit over and over again until you eventually develop Stockholm Syndrome and end up forever stuck defending the object of your nostalgia from strangers on the internet. When I was a kid, I didn't have a whole lot of options when it came to playing video games. I got my PS1 well into the early 2000s, when a good deal of my friends already had PS2s, and I only had a few games. Among those were the Crash Bandicoot games by Naughty Dog. True classics. I'm sure for a lot of people Crash Bandicoot was the face of the PlayStation. For millions of kids, Crash offered adventure, exploring jungles and ancient ruins, castles, space stations, flying fighter planes, riding motorbikes and jet skis. If you know these games, you might have noticed that the examples of exploration I mentioned were all from the first two games, and that all the vehicles were from the third. All of those things would likely sound awesome to most children, and to someone with little outside reference who didn't have access to real air combat, racing or jet ski games, they were. The problem is that when you take a step back, you start noticing that Crash is not quite as good at flying planes, riding motorcycles, or piloting jet skis as he is at exploring those jungles, ruins, castles, and space stations. Look, I love this game. I'm very nostalgic for it. When I was younger, I really enjoyed the variety that Crash Warped offered. I only had a handful of games and they were mostly the same genre, so having all of those different styles of gameplay packed together in a single disc was really cool. But nowadays I feel like whenever I replay Warped, I'm not really having fun most of the time. The reality is, when I pick up a platformer game today, I expect to play a platformer game. Am I just focusing on the bad and ignoring the good? Well, let's find out, I guess. Here's how it's gonna work. Introducing the garbage level counter. On one side we'll have the levels that are fine. This number goes up when a level is not a detriment to the experience. The level of quality can range from fine to amazing. On the other side are levels that the game would be better off without. We'll call these garbage levels. These classifications are objective facts, and totally not just my personal opinion. I guarantee this method has been peer-reviewed by myself and is extremely scientific. Oh, and don't forget to do all the engagement things so YouTube won't fuck me over again like they did last time. Like, subscribe if you're new. If you're mad at me for whatever reason, remember to call me bad names and accuse me of being the boogeyman people from your particular political affiliation don't like. If you're not mad at me, you can say nice things too. I'd appreciate that. Once again, the game starts right where the previous one ended. As Cortex's space station blows up, a piece of it conveniently falls right into a temple, freeing a spirit whose evil laughter is so loud it can apparently be heard clearly from miles away. Aku Aku, our power-up from the previous games, is apparently very concerned. I never even noticed this as a kid, but this is the first time he speaks in the series. Unless you count the text boxes from the Japanese version of Crash 1. The evil spirit turns out to be a new mask, Uka Uka, and as it turns out, he was the one pulling the strings this whole time. Dr. Neo Cortex, the big-headed scientist whose space station we just blew up, is groveling at his non-existent feet. And here we get our first taste of the pathetic, defeatist Cortex from the later games. I really like this characterization. Cortex is by far the best character in this franchise, and this is the game where his personality really starts to develop. Warp does storytelling really well in general. It's not like it's the main focus or anything, but already in Crash 2 it was clear that Naughty Dog wanted to do more with these characters. And that's exactly what they did. The scene ends as another new villain, this blue guy who seems to really like clocks, comes out of the shadows. Ooh. Mysterious. Aku Aku explains Uka Uka is his evil twin brother, and that long ago he sealed him away in order to protect the world from his evil power. Crash, his sister Coco, and Aku Aku storm out and somehow end up in a time-twisting machine. Our objective is to travel through time collecting crystals to keep Cortex and Uka Uka from using their power to enslave the entire planet. What this means effectively is that this is the new level selection menu. Like with Crash 2, Warp features a warp room, a central central hub from where we access the game's various levels. There are multiple rooms and each contains 5 levels. It's actually a pretty big improvement from the second game. In Crash 2 we had to ride elevators in order to navigate between the different rooms, but here they're all loaded at the same time, and we just need to walk between them. Later rooms are still locked before we finish each set of 5 levels. As a kid I used to spend a lot of time trying to jump over the electric fences. Good times. Well, time to start working on these levels. As we jump into the first portal, we're jump scared by Cortex's giant disembodied head. This is how most of the dialogue in the game will be delivered from now to the end cutscene. He just talks about how he now has a mask too. It's not important. Level 1, Toad Village is good. We'll add that to the find counter right away. I love the medieval theme. The music is great too. I love all the new death animations Crash gets in this game, and one of the best examples is right here. The level design itself is basic. There's a lot of empty space and virtually no challenge in terms of platforming. Holes are relegated to the corners of the level and you would only ever fall down one of them if you really wanted to, but that's okay. This is the first level after all. You get to fuck around without much to get in your way, so you should figure out the basics of jumping, spinning, and sliding. This game doesn't feature a dedicated tutorial like Crash 2 did, so it's okay to keep the training wheels on for a little bit. There's a new crate type here that cycles between different types of crates before permanently turning to metal. If this happens, we can no longer break it. Speaking of which, for anyone who doesn't know, we want to break every crate in each level in order to earn a collectible gem. This is a series staple at this point, and getting these is required for unlocking the game's best ending. Bonus stages work as they did in the second game. There are platforms with question marks on them in each non-vehicle level. We jump on them and get taken to a new location where dying doesn't cost lives and where we can break more boxes. This one's pretty simple. The crystal we're looking for is a little further ahead. I joked about how the crystals are usually in the middle of the way in my Crash 2 video, but in that game there were actually a few levels where it was possible to miss them. Here you would need to make a real effort not to collect any of them. And that's pretty much it. I'd say it's pretty memorable for a first level. I don't like it as much as Insanity Beach from the first game, but I think I overall prefer it to Turtle Woods from the second. Mostly because of the visuals, though I would say that level's a bit more interesting in terms of level design. Alright. Level 3, Orient Express. This one is not a platforming level. It's not bad though. Riding levels have been in the series since the first game, and honestly I kind of like them. I also think they got better with each entry. This time around we control Coco, riding a baby tiger named Purah. This actually marks the first time in the series where Coco was playable, so that's pretty cool. The setting is also good. We're racing over the Great Wall of China and it looks great. The rolling green hills, the banners waving in the wind. It's definitely more visually striking than the brown native villages from Crash 1's Hog levels, or the white Arctic settings from the second game's Polar Bear levels. Purah controls very similar to the Polar Bear, which is to say quite well. I don't know if it's just me or if this has actually been adjusted for this game, but the hitboxes on the crates, which were the biggest problem with riding levels in the past, seem a lot more reliable here. An annoying thing that's inherent to these levels is the fact that if you're going for a gem and you end up missing a box, all you can do is jump off of a cliff. There's no way to turn around. In terms of design, the level feels well paced. There are no large stretches of nothing. The obstacles and crates are well distributed. It's a great level. I always have fun with it. I'm throwing it into the find counter. I like the dragon kites, by the way, they look cool. And level 4, Boneyard. Every kid has their autistic hyperfocus thing. Mine was dinosaurs. So Crash Bandicoot plus dinosaurs blew my fucking mind. Nowadays I don't even like these levels all that much. It's not that they're bad, they just look kinda drab. The ground is covered in oil or something for some reason. I know oil is a fossil fuel and made up of prehistoric organic matter, but I don't think this means the ground was completely covered by it back then. Anyway, these are the chase levels in Warped. We had these from the start, same with the riding levels, and I also think they're an improvement over the previous games. I'm not madly in love with chase levels, but I don't hate them either, and being chased around by dinosaurs is definitely more interesting than being chased by boulders, even if gameplay-wise they're exactly the same. These levels in Warped are also not entirely dedicated to the chase sections as they were before. They also feature some more traditional Crash platforming in between chase sequences, so that's also good. Another point for fine. This is going kind of well actually. Oh no. Okay, Making Waves. This is a trash fucking level. The jet ski levels suck. They just do. This one is pretty easy, but man, I really wish I was doing just about anything else right now. Look at this gameplay. I'll go into more detail when we get to some of the later jet ski levels, because the more aggravating problems of this gameplay style only get worse as the levels become more complex. This one as it stands is just boring as shit. And yeah, that's all for Warp Room. Yeah, okay, I skipped level 2. Everyone who plays Crash Warped has their most hated gimmick. Mine is swimming. Maybe that's a bit of a hot take because I really don't see people complain too much about these levels. I'll say they really sell the idea of floating around because I can't for the love of me make Crash go where I want him to. The fastest way to move around in these levels is by spamming spins, which makes Crash even harder to control. The fact that there is a period between each spin in which we can't really do anything also means that often we'll be left completely defenseless right as we get close to an enemy. I don't really have anything interesting to say about the level itself here. It's very boring. Like with the jet ski levels, these will get worse as they get more complex. So I'll just throw this one in the trash and save some bitching for the next example. And this leaves us with 2 garbage levels out of 5 for the first Warp Room. But really, ignoring the garbage counter for a second, only 2 out of the first 5 levels in the game are traditional platforming levels. That's already pretty concerning. As I'm sure those of you who watched my videos on the first 2 games in the trilogy know, my favorite Crash game is the first one, followed by the second, with the third being my least favorite. You should watch those videos later, by the way. Crash Bandicoot was a very pure platforming game. It featured 26 levels, not counting boss fights, and out of those, 24 were platforming levels, and 2 were hog riding levels. Already by the 5th level, Warped has more non-platforming levels than the entirety of the original game. The second game featured 27 levels, 3 of which were riding levels and 2 of which were awful jetpack levels. Still overwhelmingly a platformer. Warped has way too little platforming in it for a game that's supposed to be a 3D platformer, which is a shame because the platforming that is here is still really good. What will really determine your enjoyment of this game in the end is just how disruptive are all of these. And so far, I feel like they're pretty disruptive. Anyway, all the buttons that activate level portals disappear and we're left with a single one in the middle. Entering this portal takes us to our first boss fight.
Crash! Coco! Store the pretty crystals! Tiny, take them back! In Gladiator Arena!
Tiny Tiger is back from Crash 2 and has been demoted to a first boss. I'll preface by saying that I love the Roman aesthetic, and I wish they use it more throughout the game. Tiny is dressed as a gladiator and starts the fight by jumping around trying to impale us with a trident. It's very easy to dodge. I like to just slide under him. When he stops, we spin him, it's pretty predictable. Then he'll jump onto a platform and send out lions that dash towards us. They can be spun or dodged. Then he'll repeat the trident part and do the whole thing one more time. 3 hits and he's done. I don't dislike it. It's obviously extremely easy, but it feels pretty good. Crash just controls great in this game, so just moving around is fun. It's probably the worst boss fight in Warped, but overall, one area where this game is a huge improvement over its predecessors is the boss fights, so that's not really an insult. Warped also introduces the concept of permanent power-ups. For each boss we defeat, we get a new move for Crash. The first one is the most boring. In the second game, Crash gained the ability to perform a body slam. It was a very uninteresting move that didn't really add much to the game. It's already a part of the base moveset from the start here in Warped, but now it sends out a small shockwave that breaks nearby boxes as Crash hits the ground. This is used in a few puzzles, and by puzzles I mean when you go, oh yeah, I have that thing that does that, and then you use it. It never gets more complex than that. It's very underwhelming, but I promise it only gets better from here. Let's go check out Warp Room 2.
Why must you continue to be a thorn in our side?
What? Where was I? Tiny was a good fellow. He hated everyone and everything, but a good heart nonetheless. Please be more reasonable with my minions next time.
Did I mention I love Cortex? Well, the level. Level 6. Gee whiz. It's a medieval level like level 1. It introduces reinforced crates that must be destroyed with the body slam, and these wizard enemies that transform Crash into a frog. Another great death animation. It still has quite a bit of empty space and the platforming is not terribly complex. Just jumping over ditches pretty much. Honestly, the most interesting part of the level is this box in the bonus route that we have to jump on before activating the switch that creates a bridge of metal crates over it. The visuals are top notch again. That's really my favorite thing about this level. It goes into the fine meter just because, again, Crash is just a joy to control in this game. So as long as I'm not stuck in some crap vehicle, it's hard not to have fun. Level 7. Hang 'em high. Now we're getting to the levels I actually like. This is the first Arabian level. These are great. I complain a lot about empty space both in Crash 3 and Crash 2. These levels contrast a lot with the likes of the medieval levels with their huge fields of nothing. Instead, they take place on the rooftops of an Arabian city. And beyond just being a really cool setting, this is a natural fit for a platforming game. These are a lot more like Crash 1 levels where platforming is king, and most of the level's real estate is used effectively in order to create interesting challenges. This level is very densely packed with obstacles and I like that a lot. It's not perfect though. One thing I'm not a fan of are the sections in which Crash hangs from these grates. He's decently nimble on them, but I think the biggest problem is the fact that he has to stop dead on his tracks in order to spin enemies away, which breaks the flow of the level a bit. There's a box hidden off screen here that I kept missing, but in hindsight, this trail of fruit leading up to it should have cued me in, so maybe I'm stupid. Good level. Wow, we got 2 good levels in a row. The meter's looking pretty good. I wonder what... Fucking shit. From my experience, these are the most hated levels in Warped. I hate them too. I have a personal vendetta against the swimming levels, but these are probably worse if I'm trying to be objective. How do I even explain why this is so bad? It looks inoffensive. The controls are actually responsive enough. The whole thing just feels kind of limited. Almost like they tried to shove in a racing game in a platformer engine for no real reason. The other racers have no AI. They just follow a scripted path like they're on rails, and no matter what we do, they will never ever stray from it. They change lanes without any warning, and ramming them won't move them an inch, but will kill all of our momentum. Getting first place will earn us the crystal, and getting every box will grant us the gem as always. There's another problem. Missed the box? Well, fuck you. You can't go back because this minigame is a Frankenstein's monster created on an engine that wasn't supposed to accommodate it. Finish the level and come back or quit from the start menu. Either way, enjoy the 2 loading screens. Garbage level. Entering the 4th level in the room will play the introduction cutscene for the next boss we'll fight.
Good day, mates. Dingodale's the name.
This is Dingodale, another fan favorite. He's Australian. He's pretty cool, I like him. We'll get to know him better soon enough. Now for the level, Tomb Time. This is my favorite level theme. When I think of Warped and I'm not in a bad mood, I think of the Egyptian tomb levels. I was fascinated by ancient Egypt as a kid, along with the dinosaurs. So this too was right up my alley. As with the Arabian rooftops, I think this is a setting that just works great for platforming, or video games in general really. The idea of ancient traps hiding unimaginable treasure is just naturally fit for game design, not to mention the mystery and the mystique surrounding this theme. I mean, there's a reason why Ancient Aliens has been going for 21 seasons just making up stupid bullshit about the pyramids. These things really have a way to capture people's imaginations. I like Cortex's face on the Sphinx. If you pay attention, Cortex leaves his mark all throughout the game, like he's changing history or something. It's a neat little bit of environmental storytelling that I appreciate. Tomb Time is not as tightly packed as Hang 'em High. It has a bit of wasted space, but I think in this case it adds to the atmosphere, which is the level's strongest aspect. The platforming is good, but the level focuses more on making us navigate traps and obstacles. I like these parts that are covered in oil. They sort of count as empty space, I guess, but they allow Crash to go really fucking fast when sliding, which is really fun. I'm aware that this is just reskinned dice from Crash 2, but I like the implementation better here. Whenever it appears, it is used to the player's advantage, and not to make navigating explosive nitro crates more annoying. Great level. And level 10 is another riding level with Coco and Purah. It's very similar to the first one, but I like it better because it takes place at nighttime. Not a lot to add here, it's still good. but it's still not a platforming level, so that leaves us at 7 good levels out of 10 so far, which is fine. But what's concerning is the fact that only half the levels in the platforming game have been about platforming so far. And I'll just get this out of the way right now. The riding levels are the only non-platforming levels I like in this game, so things can still get a lot worse. But before any of that, we get a good boss fight at least.
Break out the butter. We're gonna make toast.
Dingodile wields a flamethrower. He stands in the middle of the arena surrounded by ice crystals. The music is great, probably my favorite in the game. Each phase consists of him shooting fireballs up. These will fall around the arena and we have to avoid them by watching out for their shadows. Then he'll start shooting directly at Crash, destroying his ice wall in the process. We have to navigate it as he does, and get to the middle in order to damage him. Repeat it 3 times and he's done, but there's an easier way to do it. When Crash jumps in the middle of his slide and immediately performs a spin as he does, he'll gain a bit of extra height. We can use that to jump over the ice and skip pretty much the entire fight. Call it cheating, but I think it's fun doing it like this. He awards us with a double jump, a staple of platforming that really expands our possibilities for tackling a variety of obstacles. This is when the game really starts opening up. Warp Room 2 was good. The next set of 5 levels begins with a return to the dinosaur theme, Dynamite. But before we get a chance to play, we're met with a blue guy from the intro cutscene who introduces himself as Dr. Nefarious Tropy, master of time and creator of the very time-twisting machine you see before you. He's gonna be the next boss. The level doesn't do a whole lot new. It's a bit longer and has this brief section where Crash mounts a baby dinosaur that can jump really high, which is pretty cool, not gonna lie, but kind of pointless. It's over as soon as it starts and offers basically no challenge. Feels extremely underutilized, like they wanted it for promotional material but didn't really have any idea what to do with it. The bonus level here features a puzzle that utilizes the Super Body Slam, and the Triceratops chase part is still here. It's not one of my favorite levels, but it goes on fine. Oh god. These water levels are so fucking boring. Deep Trouble gives us a submarine thing from the start. It shoots torpedoes and can quickly dash forward, but that has a long delay after it's performed, in which Crash is left a sitting duck. Also, it takes us so far forward we can't possibly see where we're going. Turning around is slow and terrible. The best way to deal with the submarine sections is by spamming the torpedoes while slowly inching forward. This eliminates most threats that would show up immediately in front of us, but vertical movement is still slow and stiff. Eventually we lose the submarine and my favorite mechanic makes an appearance. Waiting around. It takes the form of these blender blades that have been installed on the ocean floor for some reason. They form whirlpools that we have to patiently wait for before going through. Keep in mind, momentum is very weird and unpredictable, and turning around is also shit, so timing this is a lot harder than it looks. Just going in a straight line is hard here. When more obstacles start getting piled up next to these things is when the level gets really annoying. You know what the best thing about this level is? It has a colored gem hidden in it. Colored gems are special collectibles hidden in the fill levels in the game that open up hidden paths in other levels. They are very important for completion. And how do you get this one? About halfway through the level, there is a pile of metal crates and explosive TNT crates blocking an optional path. We can see the outline of a crate that has to be activated by a switch. This switch is all the way at the end of the level, next to the portal that takes us out. So we have to go all the way there, activate it, make our way back, and activate the newly spawned TNT box that clears up the alternate path that will take us to the red gem. I hate playing for this level. It's shit. Alright, a palate cleanser. High Time is another Arabian level. It takes place at night and introduces these guys who throw fire bombs from windows. This is a decent obstacle because it can effectively be skipped with well-placed slides and double jumps, so I don't mind the waiting around aspect of it. This level also features a death route. Death routes are paths through the level that appear in the form of a platform similar to that of bonus levels, but that'll only show up if we make it to them without dying. They usually consist of slightly harder platforming challenges than the main level and grants us a gem upon completion. This one focuses on the firebomb guys, and we can get the purple gem from it. Good level. I sure hope the next one is. Okay, pretty mediocre warp room so far. 2 good levels, 2 complete wastes of time. The final level before the next boss is the conclusion of the medieval trilogy, Doubleheader. It's not too dissimilar from the previous 2 levels that share this theme, but I like the rain and the thunder, makes it quite atmospheric. The main attraction are these giant guys with 2 heads. No idea what that's about. They mostly serve as a way to block our path, but can easily be dispatched with a nice stomping to the heads. The double jump works pretty well. They help make the platforming here feel less brain dead. It's a nice level, I don't have any real complaints. I enjoy replaying it, it's probably the best out of the medieval levels. So yeah, this is where the meter stands. Let's go deal with Entropy. It's another good boss fight. As I said before, I think this game has much better fights than either of its predecessors. He can be decently challenging if you don't know what you're doing. The music is really good again. He starts the fight by shooting out a homing projectile. After we dodge it, he'll send out a few energy waves we'll have to jump over, and then he'll finally rearrange the platforms over the gap in the middle of the room. We have to quickly platform our way to his side and hit him. At this point the fight resets. For each phase he'll increase the number of projectiles he shoots out and decrease the amount of platforms we'll have to reach him. Each time he's damaged, the room will change appearances like we're traveling through time. Takes 3 hits. Good fight. We're awarded with the interestingly named Death Tornado Spin. The name makes it sound cooler than it actually is, but it's still pretty cool. Now Crash is pretty much at his full potential when it comes to clearing gaps. It allows us to stay airborne for much longer, which unlocks a lot of potential for skipping obstacles in platforming sections. Warp Room 4 starts strong with another Egyptian level, Sphinxinator. The main path splits in 2 right away, and we need to use the new Death Tornado Spin to jump over the gap on the left side. There aren't any crates here, just a few lives at the end, so there isn't much of a point to it really, besides serving as sort of a tutorial for the new ability. Speaking of which, we can start using it now to skip large portions of levels, which is really cool. This is why I like the platforming here. The skill ceiling for this game is a lot higher than the second one in my opinion, because of all the possibilities introduced by Crash's expanded moveset. The double jump and death spin allow for riskier jumps that reward the player with faster progress. There isn't much new to this level, but it's still very solid. And time for more vehicle levels. Yay. Bye Bye Blimps is the first plane level. These are the least offensive crap vehicle levels in my opinion. They're far from being anything beyond boring, but they're over kind of quick. We have to shoot down a few blimps from what looks like a World War I era fighter plane while trying not to get shot down by Cortex's minions. In practice this means spamming square to perform barrel rolls. If our health starts getting low, we can shoot at these red cross balloons to get some of it back. This one is more of a distraction that doesn't really add anything to the game than something that legitimately detracts from it, but I still think the game would be better if it wasn't here, so it goes into the trash. And right into another garbage fucking jet ski level. Here the relative openness of these levels start turning into a real problem. The draw distance just can't keep up with some of the larger areas, so missing boxes is very easy. Other than that, it's just another really boring gimmick level that I wish I didn't have to play through. The camera is always pointing forward relative to Coco, so just looking around is a pain. Trash. Finally something good again, thank God. Future Frenzy introduces yet another theme, future. It looks great. It's a futuristic city filled with huge buildings and neon signs. Again, Cortex's influence here is very clear. As far as visual variety goes, I can't really complain about this game at all. In my Crash 2 review, I complained a bit about how samey most of the game looked, especially when compared to the first game. As a reminder, I argued most of Crash 2's levels seemed to fit into the themes of jungle and tundra. There were a few exceptions like the space station and the ruin levels, but for the most part the game didn't really offer much in terms of visual variety. The first game did a much better job with that, with widely different color schemes and settings, while paradoxically maintaining a lot more thematic cohesion. The third game drops any pretense of maintaining this sort of cohesion and instead goes all in on thematic diversity. And of course the time traveling gimmick helps a lot with that. See how visually diverse warped platforming levels look? This helps wonders with keeping the game feeling fresh all the way through. I like Future Frenzy a lot, I think it's a good level. These laser barrels barriers would be annoying time wasters if it weren't for the fact that we can use our double jump and death spin to go around them. See what I meant by a higher skill ceiling? We can wait around like little bitches or risk taking damage and skip the obstacle entirely. This is a good implementation of a waiting around obstacle. This level also focuses more on side-scrolling gameplay than any other in the game. Side-scrolling was a very important part of Crash 1, with many levels being full side-scrollers. In Crash 2 it was pushed to the wayside, with only a few levels featuring side-scrolling gameplay alongside full 3D gameplay. In Warped, so far, it was basically only used in bonus levels, but here it's back into focus. I won't say it's as good as the side-scrolling platforming in the first game or even as the space station levels in the second, but I'm still glad it's here. It feels a lot like the ice cave sections from Crash 2 in terms of how it's laid out. Again, good level. Tomb Raider is the final level in Warp Room 4. It introduces a new mechanic to the Egyptian theme, which is flooding rooms. As with the laser walls I mentioned before, a lot of this can be skipped with the Death's Tornado Spin, and that's pretty cool. It's a pretty hard level to speedrun, but very rewarding. The blue gem is at the end of a death route here. With it, we can go back to Sphinxinator for one of the most fun hidden paths in the game, a whole section where the floor is covered in oil. We can just zoom past everything by chaining slides, it's really cool. Tomb Raider itself is a pretty good level too. Engine, Cortex's assistant from the second game, is back, and here's our next boss fight. It utilizes the airplane mechanics, but I think it works here. We play as Coco flying a spaceship and fighting Engine's huge mech orbiting the moon. Yeah, I'm not gonna pretend like this is not cool. He'll periodically expose glowing yellow weak spots as he prepares to attack us with multiple different weapons, and we have to shoot those until they explode. Eventually the mech will transform, and Pura the tiger will show up in another ship and attach to Coco's. This phase works in pretty much the same way as the first. When he goes down, we get the fruit bazooka. It's a bazooka that shoots fruit. It sounds very exciting, and it's kinda cool, but it comes with its own set of problems. Finally, we made it to the final warp room. It was a long journey, filled with many wonders and many minor annoyances, but we can see the finish line now. Level 21 is Gone Tomorrow, another future level. Let's talk a little bit about the bazooka. Basically, Crash can use it to destroy crates and enemies from afar, as you would expect. Usually this is slower than simply dealing with them normally. Crash can only take it out when he's not moving, and aiming with it is pretty clunky. Projectiles don't necessarily go where the reticle is pointing. Instead, the game tells us whether or not we'll hit something by turning it red, so that's what actually matters. Sometimes Crash will outright refuse to shoot where he's aiming, and that gets annoying. This is a technical issue worth pointing out, but my biggest problem with this mechanic is how it relates to the broader design of the game. Remember what I said about the super duper spin or whatever, how it allowed for a higher skill ceiling by allowing the player to take riskier jumps for the possibility of skipping parts of the level. It's a simple case of risk versus reward, and that's an inherently interesting proposition for a game. The bazooka works almost in perfect opposition to that. Instead of allowing the player to trade safety for time, it invites the player to trade time for safety. Basically, it opens up the possibility to make the game easier if you're willing to go through the boring process of lining up a reticle and eliminating obstacles in your path, leaving only empty corridors to go through. Players who are struggling for whatever reason now have a clutch that they can use to advance by making the game boring. And I don't think developers should ever incentivize the player to take the boring path. What's really weird is that we get this get out of jail free card only at the end of the game. If this was supposed to help younger or less skilled players, shouldn't it be available from the start? The bazooka is yet another mechanic that I believe was only included because it makes for good promotional material. I really don't think it adds much. Of course, you can always just not use it, so I don't mind it all that much. It has a few creative uses. I won't try to claim it's a complete waste, but I don't think it's a good inclusion overall. Oh, we were supposed to talk about the level. It introduces these huge robot guys that shoot 3 missiles and then turn around, showing their target butts and allowing for Crash to destroy them. We can skip them with all of our new jump abilities, but their hitboxes are quite large, so it's a bit harder than it looks. Other than that, the level is very similar to Future Frenzy, with the 2D and 3D sections. Oh, great. Another one of these, just what I was hoping for. I know I bitched a lot about the water levels, but at least there are only 2 of those in the game. Do we really need this many crappy racing levels? Trash. Moving on. Flaming Passion is the final Arabian level. As the name implies, it focuses on the firebomb throwing guys. They can now be removed with the bazooka, but you can also just jump over the flames with the double jump and the death spins if you have balls. Same with the scimitar guys that are invulnerable while they're swinging their swords around. There's a death route here that focuses on enemies that throw their swords from off screen. That leads to the green gem. We can get both the collar gem and the regular box gem if we turn around after the death route and break a few boxes we missed. If you watched my Crash 2 review, you'll know what this means. Good level. Mad Bombers. Plain level. Same shit as the other one. Next. Okay. Level 25, the last one before we face the final boss. It's an Egyptian level with a twist. It's really dark and our only source of light is a firefly that will fly away after a while. Crash 1 and 2 had levels like this, and I usually quite liked them. This one is no exception, but I feel like the gimmick is very underutilized here. There aren't any real challenges in which the darkness mechanic comes into play outside, once again, of the bonus level. It's both kinda cool and kind of depressing that Naughty Dog seems to only be willing to fully explore the full potential of the game's mechanics in bonus levels where there are no consequences for failure. It is cool to see this theme, which is my favorite in the game, in a different light. There are even sections that take place outside and that's even cooler. The platforming is pretty basic and the level is really easy for a final level, but the cool factor makes up for it. This is also the level for which you need every colored gem in order to unlock its hidden route. Crash 2 did the same for its final level and I think this is a cool little tradition. Unfortunately, we still don't have those, so let's grab the crystal and go beat Cortex up.
I'm sorry. This is the part where I'm supposed to be angry, full of rage, incensed beyond belief. Once again, you have outsmarted and outspun my best henchman. I should be rather upset, shouldn't I?
And in fact, we're furious! But it seems you have overlooked one small detail, you little orange delivery boy. Now that you have gathered all the crystals, all we have to do is take them from you!
Warped Cortex is probably the hardest boss in the entire trilogy. I remember as a kid I was stuck here for days. I was remarkably shit at video games, it's really not that bad, but even now that I'm a super skilled pro gamer, it still usually takes me a few tries. What makes this relatively difficult is the fact that Aku Aku is too busy dealing with his evil twin brother to tank hits for us, so we have to make it through the entire fight damageless. The masks will be spinning around the arena, engaged in a super epic beam battle, while Cortex tries to shoot energy balls at us. He is initially protected by a shield, but it'll go down eventually, and he'll start throwing landmines around the room. This is when we have to make our way to him and spin him into the hole that opens up in the middle. This is the basic structure of the fight. What changes over the course of the 3 phases is how the masks are fighting while we dodge Cortex's attacks. For the second hit, they'll spin around forming a tornado that can go pretty much anywhere. The biggest problem then becomes the camera. If we move closer to Cortex's side of the arena, the camera will follow Crash, and we'll lose sight of the masks. Then they'll come out from off camera and kill us. The camera really should have been static during this fight. In the final phase, they'll clash and create an explosion at Crash's position if we don't move quickly. The fight ends as Cortex falls down the hole for the 3rd time, and I'll just let this cutscene play.
Defeated again! This is not fair! Maybe I should retire to a nice big beach with a nice big drink and a woman with nice big bags of ice for my head.
Did I mention I love Cortex? Uka Uka shows up and tells us we got the shit ending, because we don't have all the gems. And that will be forever bullied relentlessly if we don't go and get all of them, so that's what we'll do. The credits roll, but it doesn't really count. Let's talk completion requirements. I'm usually not much of a completionist myself. I can walk away from games when I'm tired of them because I'm neurotypical, but Crash Warped practically begs the player to 100% it, so I think we should at least go see what that's all about. But before that, let's check the garbage counter because it doesn't really look great. Out of the 25 levels we've been through so far, we have 16 good levels and 9 levels the game would be better off without. Keep in mind, 2 of those good levels are burrow riding levels, so really we have 14 out of 25 levels in this platforming game that are are actually platforming levels. That's 56%. That's a real problem. Good news though, there are still 5 hidden levels we haven't seen. There's still a chance for improvement. So the first step in our journey to get all the gems are the time trials. We need every colored gem in order to unlock every hidden path in the game in order to get every clear gem. We're still missing the yellow one from level 10, but we can obtain it without accessing the hidden warp room. And how do we do that? Time trials. This is another addition to Warp. When we re-enter a level we've already beaten, we'll see this yellow clock. Picking it up starts a time trial. A timer will start and we'll have to make our way to the end of the level without dying and beat a certain time in order to earn a relic. Certain boxes will turn yellow in this mode, and breaking them will pause the timer briefly. So the challenge is more than rushing to the end. There's a bit of a routing aspect to it too. There are 3 relic tiers. Sapphire relics are pretty easy to get, and will be enough to unlock the good ending we're after. Gold relics require an actual decent run for the most part, and getting all of them rewards us with an extra gem for completion's sake. Platinum relics are, for the most part, a pain to get. They're only for bragging rights. This is, in principle, a good addition. It gives us an excuse to really master these levels that are otherwise really easy. The problem with relics is the same as the rest of the game. There are too many shit levels that I didn't even want to play the first time around, and now we have to do all of them again, but harder. The Insane Trilogy, the 2017 remakes of the Naughty Dog trilogy, add time trials to the first 2 games in the same style, and I think they ironically work a lot better in those games. I talked a bit more about the Insane Trilogy in my Crash 1 video, so check that out if you're interested. The reason why we left this for the end is the power-up we get from defeating Cortex for the first time. It's a run button, and it's a good addition to Crash's moveset. It makes the time trials a lot easier, but doesn't trivialize them. Anyway, after we get 5 relics, we'll unlock the secret warp room, and in it we'll unlock a new level for every further 5 relics we unlock, meaning we need 25 relics to unlock every level in the game. The second level here is actually just a secret entrance to Hang 'em High that leads to the yellow gem. With it in hand, we can go get most other gems in the game and play through the pretty cool gem route in level 25. Going through every level again and collecting everything we can will still leave us short of the 2 gems from Future Frenzy. These require access to a secret entrance unlocked by collecting 20 relics. So really, the secret warp room only has 3 new levels. And are they worth it? Fucking shit, man. The game asks us to go through every crap vehicle level again for the relics, and some of them aren't all that easy, mind you. And what is our reward? More crap fucking vehicle levels. And guess what? These also have time trials we have to do. Okay, wait a second. There are 2 more levels that are hidden and not required for completion. Surely these have to be good. Okay. So for this one we have to go to the gem route in level 11 and get grabbed by this pterodactyl. Don't ask me how anyone was supposed to figure this out, but somehow I actually knew about this one as a kid. It takes us to Agapa's Rex. I didn't expect a reference to an ancient Greek incest drama here, but whatever. It's extremely basic. You ride Baby T over here over some pits and get a free platinum relic. Does this count as a vehicle level? I guess not technically, but it's not very good. I'll be really nice and say it's fine. Okay, for the next one we ride into this alien sign in Road Crash and... Motherfucking piece of shit! Well, that was a waste of time. Let's just get this over with already. Kick Cortex down the hole again, and this time we get the real ending. The villains get sent back in time as babies, and that's the end of the Crash trilogy on PS1. Man, I still feel really divided about this game. Even if we ignore all the shitty minigames, I'd say this game has the weakest level design in the trilogy. I didn't talk at length about it for this game as I did for the previous 2 because I honestly think level design is not its strongest point in the first place. Most of it is very basic and not nearly as tight as the others. Crash 3's platforming lives and dies by Crash's movement, which is at its most fluid and responsive here. Really, I think a case could be made for Crash 4. but for the 2 decades following Warped's release, no other game in the franchise came even close. The platforming levels are still fun because of that, and the time trials make levels that would be otherwise mediocre actually interesting. But really, can that platforming carry this entire game on its back when nearly half of its runtime consists of these boring minigames? I mean, did we really need 4, count them, 4 fucking jet ski levels? 15 out of the 30 levels are not traditional platforming levels. I still counted the 2 riding levels as good because I legitimately think they're fun. But when half of your platforming game is not really about platforming, you might have gone a bit overboard. Really, just limiting the vehicle levels to 2 for each style would have gone a long way towards making this not such a big problem. That would catapult the platforming levels to 22 out of 30, a much more acceptable amount, and would probably make players a lot more accepting of the vehicle levels that would be there. What would I say to someone who wants to play Crash Warped? Would I still recommend it? Honestly, yes. I still think it's worth playing through, but only if you don't suffer from chronic completionism. If you only have to go through all the shitty vehicle levels once, it's fine. Try to beat Cortex once and go for time relics on the platforming levels, you'll probably have a good time. Watch the true ending cutscene on YouTube or something. If you end up getting stuck going for platinum relics on the fucking jet ski and bike levels, you'll probably end up resenting this game a lot. I said in my Crash 2 review that, while I personally preferred the design philosophy of the first game, I still thought that the second game was taking the franchise in the right direction. I don't think the same is true for Warped. I think the direction that this game took was a mistake. The proof is in what came after. Wrath of Cortex is basically just Warped doubling down on all of its mistakes, and it sucks. It's everything wrong with that game taken to its logical conclusion. Warped is not a bad game, I would really not call it that, but it's not a game I want to replay often. I would much rather play either of its predecessors. I still have fond memories of it, but nowadays I just feel like it's too much effort to dig through all of that trash to get to the good stuff. Hey, that's the video. Thanks for watching. Remember to do the engagement stuff. Also, you can watch some of my other videos if you're bored. They should be somewhere around here.